Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports. Well, looks like it's happened. James Degale has vacated his IBF title, claiming he wants to be in the big fights. That might come of no surprise to some, because I think I mentioned to you before that his mandatory coming up next was Uztaki, which is a dangerous fight, a hard fight. And whilst Uztaki is a very good fighter, money-wise, it's not going to bring in as much money as possibly, other fights. And if it's his mandatory, then he'd have to fight Uztaki. So there's three possible situations that I think could be making Degale make this decision. Decision idea number one, or would be that Degale is going to be in a big money fight in September against Billy Joe Saunders. That would be the first thought process. Billy Joe Saunders would be moving up to super middleweight. Degale would be facing a guy that naturally he's naturally bigger than, because he's a super middleweight. Billy Joe Saunders at middleweight, but that would make a good fight, good British fight, a good domestic showdown. Two, James Degale is going to fight Chris Eubank Jr. That would be interesting as well. We know Eubank Jr. is now out training with the Mayweathers at the moment. Eubank Jr. versus James Degale, that would be an all-British showdown as well. And that would bring up old rivalries, bad blood. And of course, I think that would certainly be a ticket seller. And number three, this one's a little bit more far-fetched, but talking about big fights, you couldn't get no bigger a fight than George Groves, James Degale, Part 2 for the World Boxing Super Series final. Now, while that's a big fight, James Degale didn't take part in the World Boxing Super Series. And just like I said about Chris Eubank Jr., I mentioned about him being able to fight in the finals of a World Boxing Super Series when he got beaten in the semi-finals by George Groves, and Groves was going to be in the final. It would have been wrong for Chris Eubank Jr. to be facing then Callum Smith when Groves was injured. So now I hold the same point of view about James Degale. He wasn't in the tournament originally, whether he was injured, whether it was contractual, whatever. He wasn't in the tournament. I think it's unfair that James Degale is able to fight George Groves in a final of a World Boxing Super Series. Let Callum Smith and George Groves shoot it out, and let the dust, when the dust falls, let whoever is there at the end maybe go and fight James Degale, or go and fight Uztaki, whoever the champion may be at the IBF afterwards. But at this point in time, so I see realistically the two bouts that James Degale could be involved in is Chris Eubank Jr. and one against Billy Joe Saunders. If I'm a betting man, I would go with Billy Joe Saunders, because at the moment Billy Joe Saunders hasn't really got a big fight that people are interested in seeing him in. Doubt he's going to fight Danny Jacobs, because Danny Jacobs is fighting for the IBF against Derevyanchenko, I believe. So that's the vacant belt for both of those guys to fight with. He won't fight Golovkin or Canelo, because both of those guys are tied up now with a fight in September. Then you go down, and then you've got the Charlo. I can't see Charlo versus Saunders. Like, too much of a risk and not much a reward, because Charlo, while being the good fighter that he is, marketability wise, I still think he needs a big fight, a Danny Jacobs, a somebody on his resume that really people say, yeah, he beat him and he's a top fight game. So Charlo versus Jacobs would be, that would be a great fight. And then if Charlo were to beat Jacobs, then I think a Saunders fight would work. As for Billy Joe Saunders himself, the only fight I think that's out there for him now is James Degale. James Degale's sort of lurking around. Nobody wants to see Billy Joe Saunders against Martin Murray, with all due respect. So when you look at it, it seems to me that the logical decision would be to go that direction. The decision I think would be, hold on a second. Beauty of live shows. Yeah, that if I'm betting man, I go with Billy Joe Saunders. Okay, Billy Joe Saunders and James Degale somewhere around September 15th, something like that. I could see that fight happening. Billy Joe Saunders obviously is with Frank Warren, and I think Degale's a free spirit, so he could roam and fight with on BT Sports. So I think that makes a good fight. And if you really want to go for real speculation, that fight would never happen. Well, not now. Is James Degale against Anthony Yarde? That would be another British domestic showdown. Degale would have to move up to light heavyweight. Not sure how that would work out. A fantasy matchup, yes, but I can't see that happening. Somebody also mentioned Verinder Singh. Nah, I can't see that happening. Why would Degale fight Verinder Singh? He'd be going backwards fighting Verinder Singh. Money-wise, yeah, he could go and take that fight in India. But really, I can't see it somehow. Degale beats Verinder Singh and people go, so what? So I think, for me, out of all the possibilities, James Degale fighting Billy Joe Saunders in September is my bet for what's going to happen next in James Degale's career. Billy Joe Saunders hasn't got anywhere to go, really. James Degale, you know, all the top super middleweights, more or less, you know, the real super middleweight fight that people would want to see is Degale versus Groves, obviously. For Degale to get a rematch, put things right, and against Chris Eubank Jr. So the only other thing is Billy Joe Saunders were to fight Chris Eubank Jr. again for a second time. Can't see that happening. Can more likely see Degale fighting Chris Eubank Jr. But as I said, I'm a betting man. I'm going with Billy Joe Saunders, James Degale, around September 15th, September 20th. And that would be nice to see. But that's my reason why I think Degale has vacated his IBF title, because maybe the IBF does not recognize Billy Joe Saunders as a super middleweight, and he's not in the top 10 of their rankings as a super middleweight. So, you know, and the IBF are pretty strict. But yeah, Ustaki is not the sort of guy James Degale wants to be fighting, personally. If you're really going life and death, or you're struggling against Caleb Turks, with all due respect, Ustaki is another different proposition altogether. I remember Ustaki first saw the scene when he fought my good brother, good friend, Julius Jackson. He was unbeaten at the time, and Ustaki knocked him down about 5 times on a Showtime debut. It was incredible. I didn't believe it. So Ustaki can punch. He's a dangerous man. You saw what he did to Durrell. So he's a dangerous man. And I wouldn't want that for James Degale. And he's had too many hard fights, James Degale, now. So if you're going to fight Billy Joe Saunders, at least you're fighting a guy that's not a noted one-punch knockout artist. And, you know, different sort of fight. Both southpaws. Interesting fight. We'll just have to wait to see how that fight pans out. So that's it from me. Again, James Degale vacating the IBF title. Let me know what you all think. And check out the videos after this. Okay. Have a great day wherever you are. And congratulations once again to the England football team. See you soon.